Alright guys, welcome to another vlog. We're going to do a Q&A. The reason, I guess, a lot of people have been asking for Q&A and get wifey here to ask the questions that a bunch of you guys have sent through. I guess I'll let you go through and pick questions. There's some good ones?
Yeah.
Go. Shoot.
Favorite type of rim?
That needs to be specific, like for what car?
Look, let's do little wheels
you
and big
elaborate.
boy.
Yeah.
Little wheels and big boy wheels. Pick one of each.
Little boy wheels, I really like the tries I've got for the 8.6. No, probably
The Omnis.
yeah.
A3As are better.
That's such a difficult one. It really depends on the car. But small wheel, probably go with Mark IIs. I sold my Mark IIs. I regret it. But yeah, small car, Mark IIs. Big cars, as far as a three-piece wheel goes, Equip 01s, which is what I've got for the S13.
No, you don't. Equip 01s are little wheels. Equip 05s are big boy wheels, which is what you've got for the S13.
Oh shit.
Oh, you just got schooled.
I just got schooled by the wife. Okay, Equip 05s, that's what I meant. I'm going to get flamed for this in the comment section. And you'll just earn yourself like 100 new fans by knowing that and not me. Okay, Equip 05s, I do know that.
Because they're my favourite big boy wheels.
A one-piece wheel. I really like the Ray's 57 Pros. I've never owned any, but I really like that wheel. And if I had to do a one-piece, that would be the wheel I'd go with.
Any more upgrades / ideas planned for the future at Archie?
Well, that's a question for both of us.
Not really.
No, probably more so me.
You just plan stuff and tell me what's happening.
Yeah, so there's a lot of plans, a lot of hopes, I guess, that things that we want to do down at Archerfield Drift Park. Obviously, it ultimately comes back to money, but, you know, we would love to extend more of the track, make some of the track wider. There's still a couple of other extensions there and ideas I definitely want to do, like putting a jump into Archie is definitely something I really, really want to do, as well as adding some banking in some of the track as well. And yeah, we over the Christmas break, we're making stuff better for spectators down there as well. We're doing new roofing on top of the grandstands and things like that, which will definitely make the place more comfortable. And when the rain eventually does come back to Queensland, we're actually going to have actual roofs that won't leak or aren't just shade cloth. Does
pineapple belong on pizza? It's a very important question.
It's an important question. When I was younger, I liked pineapple on pizza, but I definitely don't like pineapple on pizza anymore. So I think it's fine for kids, but as soon as your balls have dropped, she says never okay. I think kids don't mind it because it's sweet, but definitely as an adult, I definitely do not like pineapple on pizza. And if you like it as an adult, you're weird.
How many tyres do you go through when sending the Z at Archie? Do you use second-handies, etc.?
And it says seeing as you go through a lot.
Which kind of contradicts the question in itself. That's why I didn't add that.
I actually don't go through a lot of tyres in the 350Z. I literally use a single pair a night. And that's basically due to heat cycling the tyres and the fact that the 350Z really doesn't have any power. I'm only barely spinning the tyres. I've gripped the car up so much that it's not smoking the tyres, it's just turning them. So I really don't use tyres in that car. Like I do a good hour or two of solid drifting on a pair of tyres at Archerfield. So it is a fantastic car as far as tyre wear goes. It's only when I am trying to cook them or trying to smoke them harder I can kill them harder. But yeah, ideally I run too much grip for the chassis and the power and don't use tyres. And if I was using more than a pair in the night, I'd probably know about it.
You probably do use more and I just don't know about it.
How am I meant to pay for them? You don't know about it.
You always sneaky buy stuff. Actually, lately he's been good and for some stupid reason been giving me every bit of money that people give him. This is very dumb. Do you ever miss riding BMX? Shout out to Kane Vanderstock. Hoping I got that right.
Do I ever miss riding BMX? Turn my sound off.
Sorry.
Do I ever miss riding BMX? Yes, I do miss riding BMX. My wife misses me riding BMX. And even worse today because I got given a bunch of old magazines that I'm in, which, you know, seeing front cover on the magazines and stuff like that
We
is...
should have got one of those for the clip. Have to put a picture
here?
in, yeah. And we can do a thing on...
Just there.
I can't.
I'll get it. Oh.
We do a thing on what face is funnier, your BMX face or your drift face.
So my auntie actually sent some of them old BMX magazines. So that is a front cover from... When's that from? 2000... Is it?
It doesn't
Actually,
have
I
a
should
date on it.
double check. It might be 04. Yeah, I think it's 2004.
No, that's part of the barcode.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe not. It's this one.
2002.
This one is front cover 2002. And then, yeah, there's other stuff. I know there's more stuff here. There's a bunch of magazines my auntie sent to me. And we literally just got it today with all a bunch of my old BMX stuff in it. Oh, there we go. This one's old as well. This would have been 03. Another front cover there.
What's it?
BMX front cover from the States.
Yeah.
When I went to the X Games, and yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, BMX, yes, I miss it. The competitive side of it, and just the traveling was sick with BMX and all the dudes. And it is a similar feel in the drift scene. It's just rather than costing you lots of money out of your wallet, it costs you lots of bones and injuries and stuff like that. So I don't miss getting hurt, and as I commonly say, with age get a cage. So that's sort of the motive I'm taking. Yeah.
Two similar questions, so I'll kind of just ask combined. When, why did you start drifting, and what did you start in? And your inspo for starting?
Okay, so I started drifting through BMX friends, and they really got me into drifting. If anyone's from Australia would know, or more so Melbourne, would know the Insane Drifters. I was friends with a few of the boys because we're all BMX guys as well, and had my friend Tank turn up at the skate park in his 180SX, and I was sort of like, what the hell is this thing? It's crazy, it's sick. And I honestly didn't get my license till I was 22, but immediately once I got my license, I was like keen to get involved in driving cars dumb. And it really snowballed from there. My first car was a VL wagon that was, I got that just before I got my license, and I actually sold it just before I got my license and ended up getting a VL Calais, which was auto, non-turbo VL Calais, and that's the car I learnt to drift in. I literally was out drifting with the Insane Drifter boys for months, sort of getting it dialed and doing absolutely everything I could in that car and getting it to the limit where I actually ended up having to sell it because it was basically too fast to drift with, because I ended up turboing it, but it ended up being too fast to drift with all my friends that had manual cars with handbrakes and stuff, because I had to go full speed. I didn't have a handbrake, I didn't have a clutch, and that was why I moved on from the Auto VL. So I think that sort of answers that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you had to choose, would you prefer to fight 20 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? No weapons, open ground, no prep time. You have to answer it.
What is it? 20 duck-sized horses. Just kick them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I said, because if you've ever been bit by a duck, like imagine a big giant one. It's a good answer.
Yeah.
What's the story, if there is one, on how you and LZ became mates?
I hit him up about coming to Australia, and coincidentally he had followed some of my BMX career, so that made it easy to talk, and we have the same interests, and yeah, we started off obviously at the very start as much of a business relationship, I guess. But now, yeah, we are good mates, and it's been good. It's been a good relationship to have. It's obviously helped our business a lot. It's good to hang out with him, and then yeah, it's good.
This one, it's another stupid one, but I would actually like to know the answer because I couldn't even pick it for you.
Okay.
Eggs Benedict or big breakfast? It's a tough one, isn't it?
Eggs Benny.
I reckon it depends on the place.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10 I pick big breakfast though, just because it's bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I couldn't even.
It'd have to be big breakfast with hollandaise on the side.
On the side.
Big
extra.
breakfast with extra hollandaise. Hollandaise. Jesus.
Yeah. What's the worst car accident you've been in and on or off the track?
Worst car accident I've ever been in was on the track. And it was one that was, you were there. It was our first trip overseas. It was one that was not Austria. Documented at all. But I actually got into a real bad accident in Austria. And it was on a media day at a racetrack. And I was in a really nice S15 doing my thing. And a local guy came out onto the track out of nowhere and drove the wrong way around the track, drifting, and we hit head on, both of us in the top of third gear. And yeah, we spent some time in the hospital. It was great. So yeah, not fun. And on the street, I was a passenger in a car that was hit by a drunk on the highway and rolled. So that was shit. Don't drink drive. If you drink drive, you're a piece of shit.
Are AU Falcons bad for the sport?
No, I don't think AU Falcons are good for the sport.
Choose your answer wisely.
No, I think they're good. Like, I started in a VL, so I can't get down on anybody that's, it makes sense. They're cheap to buy, they work, and you've got guys like AU House and stuff making massive lock kits for them, and they're good. Like, they work. Like, we have, our third place or second in the Pro Series up here, the Pro State Series? Jake Thornbury comes second or third? In an AU. Second in an AU. And then you got Stankowski down in Mount Gambier, not this year, the year before, but he qualified third out of like a really stacked field as well in an AU. So it's, definitely not a bad thing for the sport. There's people purists that don't necessarily want to see a Falcon out there, but they make sense, they work, they're super cheap, like they can be made to look pretty decent. So yeah, I don't mind them.
Are you going back to the UK?
Maybe. I'm sure we'll go back one day.
You've been told to go and party at an event at Driftland in February.
We're only just getting back from the US in February, so we're probably not going to the UK in February. That's for sure. But yeah, we'd love to get back to the UK and Europe, and that definitely will happen hopefully in the nearer future rather than later. I know that 2020 is already getting stacked up.
Don't establish dominance.
I guess we'll see.
That's about it.
That's it for that. All right.
There's a lot of silly ones.
That was all our Facebook questions. So we're going to go
more
to our YouTube questions. Oh, we'll check Instagram. We've got our Instagram questions.
You did it there too.
Yes.
You didn't sign up for this.
All right. There's a few. All right, Instagram questions.
What's your dream drift car and dream engine swap in it?
Sitting in the garage.
Beams
8.6 with the beams in it. NA on throttles with a cool manifold. That is a dream build. Like, it's an achievable dream. I don't know, they're just so good. 8.6s, beams, beautiful, perfect.
Future car plans, new cars, new projects. I'm also interested in the answer.
Alright, you guys are trying to get me in trouble. But we do have the G35 sedan now. We've got all our plans mostly in place for that. That's going to be very cool with the livery and everything. But as far as future plans, I'd love to do an S15 or R34 coupe. not an S15 for you, like an S15 exactly to my taste, and have it as more of a shred car, like, I guess. But see what happens. Like, if I do something like that, I'll get something as cheap as possible and build it on the channel for you guys. And yeah, I kind of want to do a 34 coupe though, because they're never one of those cars that aren't done right a lot of the time. That, or to piss her off, a Supra. Not the new thing, not that new rubbish, the old one.
No, he want like
the JZA80.
The medium.
The medium one.
You can do an old one.
Like she likes the older Supra. She just doesn't like JZA80s.
I like the good ones.
Yeah, she's clearly got bad taste.
Can relate. Best start a drift car without breaking the bank.
AU.
No.
No, probably 350Z or G35. 350Z or G35 are by far the cheapest. Yeah, G35 or 350Z make the most sense because you can buy them cheap. You don't have to do near much mods at all to make them a really driftable chassis. You know, your S13s and stuff like that are more expensive these days and will cost you more money to begin with and cost you a lot more money to then make them decent. And even then you'll still be chasing mechanical issues always because it's just the nature of the fact that they're old.
Favourite driver to battle back in the DA days? Drift Australia, for those.
In the Drift Australia days. Back in the Drift Australia days, I would say that is a really tough one. Drift Australia days was always fun with Yatesy because, I don't know, it was a good mental battle as well with him. Like, I remember came out the first round and I won my very first round I entered, and then the next time around there, Yatesy like completely mind fucked me on a run and cut me off, and I was scared to damage the car and didn't touch him or anything. But then fast forward to the following years, and you know we got plenty physical in battles. Like it was a good time for sure. It was definitely a good time. You know, both giving each other bumps and pushing each other around and things like that as well. So that side of it was quite cool, and I liked the mental battles, you know, the just giving him shit before we went out to try and get in his head and fucking with him basically.
Do you miss the low brain car?
No, I do not. I do not miss that car at all. It was shit.
I don't miss that car. What inspired you to start vlogging?
Adam probably inspired me to start vlogging. While he was here, he was like basically kicking me like, why the hell don't you vlog? You do heaps of cool shit. And even over the years I knew I should have started a long time ago because we've done so many amazing things that a lot of even Australians don't know about, let alone everybody else. So that side of it, and I guess the main thing stopping me was money in the past with being able to afford a camera and a laptop and things like that, and then ultimately the editing side of it. But then having Adam here the first time around and really observing and taking everything in, I realised that it's doable and easy enough. So I started this channel that you're watching now. Now we're going to YouTube questions. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll find them.
So we already know how you got into it and started off, but how did you get into the pro scene?
How do I get into the pro scene of drifting? Okay, so I was literally just a street drifter, nothing but a street drifter in Melbourne. Any of the older Melbourne guys know I was the guy that started the West Meets in Melbourne, which did run until very recently. So we had a strong 10 plus years of good street drifting scene down in Melbourne. And basically I built up a pretty solid name on the street, but I ended up buying a car off Halford Motors, and I was always going there to change my tyres and things like that, and all of a sudden they bought a race car, and I made a joke that, yeah, that's sick, I'd love to drive it, not thinking anything of it at all. And I was actually away overseas doing BMX in Thailand, and my dad went to buy a car which ended up being off of the Halford Motors guys, and when they were doing the paperwork, the guy's like, your last name's Fink, do you know Luke Fink? And my dad's like, yeah, that's my son. And he's like, where the hell's he been? Because I went to Thailand for 4 months. And yeah, he ended up contacting me and wanting me to drive his race car, which was super strange. And yeah, my first My second ever competition in that car was a Drift Australia round, and we won, which was crazy. And I had a broken leg while we did it and everything, so that was my introduction to the pro scene, and it just continued to snowball from there with pro drifting, so yeah.
What's it like running a track? What do you do for a living?
Well, I run a track for a living. Between running the track, running Drift Challenge Australia, doing the vlogging now also helps with income. Between all of those things, I guess it's a good way to live. I don't know, like there's definitely worse stuff. When I was first starting Drift Challenge Australia, I had 3 jobs all at the same time, and some days I was literally working like 20 hours a day. So getting myself to a point where, some weeks we might do, I guess, like 4 days of actual work, if you consider it that, and make a decent living, I guess. A lot of it's still wheel and dealing, selling car parts and cars and this and that, and just working out ways to make ends meet and still be quite comfortable. It's like I get a lot of people commenting about ways I could make more money down at the track and things like that, and things we could do that would mean a lot more time and effort needs to be put in, and I prefer the quality of life that we have now, I guess, and the ability to be able to do things like go away, just in general have a happier life rather than working 24/7 and potentially making double the money but not really being happy. We're now pretty damn happy. We have a lot of time to spend with our kids, and in general that's enough stress in our life with what we do now without overcomplicating our lives. So I would say it's good.
How did we meet?
We met in a place, so me and Tiana met via, I could say initially via Facebook. I commented on a post that she commented on and basically made a, single guy as I was remark about I would definitely buy ice cream from her, because it was a thing about ice cream and working at an ice cream shop. And I guess, I check profile out, not bad, good size. And just by chance ended up, when I got back into Australia, ended up going to a mutual friend's birthday party, and she was there, and the rest is history, I guess.
Japanese karaoke bar.
Yeah, Japanese karaoke bar it was. And
it's now a brothel.
So Japanese karaoke bar. And then we went on to the next karaoke bar, and you came in my Celsior, which was Slam Celsior. It was sick. And we bonded a bit at the next bar with the love of the similar music and things like that. So that's how we met.
What riders did you idolise when you grew up?
In BMX, Jason Enns. You have to be an old school BMXer sort of to know Jason Enns, but he had rad style. Just by chance, I ended up riding for the same company as Jason Enns, and it was just cool. Yeah.
What's been your favourite car to ever drift?
86.
Which one?
Hands down 86.
Yeah, but which one?
A86. To this date, ones that I've owned would be my original 7AG A86 that I used to own when I was in Melbourne, which I'd done a lot of street drifting in.
How Cheech came about, and your thoughts on the hassles tracks are facing with noise issues around Queensland, and if Queensland Motorsport has enough of a pushback to fight it.
The first bit's funny because, how did Cheech come about? So Cheech and his son, who we called Sean, ended up coming down to the track when I put a call out for help with concreting at the track, and he just never left. That's all there is. His name's Darren, but he came down, helped us out with the concreting. They were burnout guys, and now they're both of them are drift guys through and through, and the place wouldn't be the same without him. And we love having them around. They're absolute huge characters, and if you've ever had the pleasure of meeting Darren, he's just a good bloke, and Yeah, Cheech and Chong. And what was the remainder of that question? The hassles. Look, it's a tough one. The whole noise thing. Like, it's not hard to just get in line with the noise thing. Like, if you know there's a noise limit, you just abide by it, and you don't have problems. Like, we haven't had problems for a long time at Archie as far as the drifting goes, because we make sure all you guys that are drifting Archerfield have mufflers and stuff like that, which keeps us out of trouble. And, you know, our landlord's been very happy with us for a long time now. Hasn't had any complaints, and it's been fantastic. We get along well. It's just a matter of if you have a venue, you know what I mean? Like, it's not hard to have a muffler, you know? Like, even my Turbo LS S13 makes 700 horsepower, is 95 decibels. It actually passes the noise limits at Archie, but it backfires a lot. And that's where it actually goes over. So it's not hard to have a car that's quiet enough. It's just a matter of doing it, you know what I mean? Like, and especially at Archie, where you're only 20 feet away from the car at the most, it's still, 95 decibels is still really loud at that point. So yeah.
When and why did you move to the Gold Coast?
I moved to the Gold Coast because I was on the internet boost cruising and things like that, and honestly this Queensland scene looked sick. The Queensland scene looked really cool. I always saw photos from the Spit, which no one goes to anymore, but there was always cars down there every Sunday, get photos getting taken. There was the stadium drift events, there was Archerfield, there was Queensland Raceway. Like, it just looked sick. And then I came up here with a couple of BMX events, and, you know, in the middle of winter, or Queensland winter for a Melbourne guy is not winter, you know, so the weather, drifting, car scene, that side of it I loved. And I was just like, yeah, I was sick of the cold in Melbourne, just sick of Melbourne, I guess, and needed a change, and that was the change. So yeah.
I'm going to rephrase this one because it says, how did you get into drifting from BMX? We already spoke about how you got into drifting, but how did you go from BMX to drifting?
Well, it's still the same question.
Not really, because there was the injury with your foot, which is why you kind of took a break from BMX.
Well, I was doing BMX and drifting for a long time, but then I did break my ankle quite heavily, and then never really got hard back into BMX after that, because for 7 or 8 years that ankle never really healed 100%, and even now it's definitely not 100%, but yeah, it was one of those things where it was more the injury that took me out of BMX more than anything.
How did you end up with Archie?
So I used to volunteer a lot at Archerfield. So Archerfield was owned by a dude who basically had no knowledge of drifting at all.
He's not a nice guy.
And yeah, he was a dick. And he would basically have other people run it for him. And when I first moved to Queensland, that was Paul from Option 1 Garage. I actually ended up working for Paul from Option 1 Garage and was helping him run Archerfield, being that I was doing a lot of the pro Australian drifting at the time still as well. I obviously helped with the name and etc. I was helping him run the events, and then I ended up going overseas quite a bit, and so I wasn't helping with him anymore. And then who ended up taking over? Jeff from Nispro, and then I ended up helping them run the events. And then even after he left, I still was going down there and doing some volunteering and helping out. And then the original owner turned around to me one day and asked me if I'd be interested in buying out the business, and I did. Much to her, she was not keen at all, because the business was being run into the ground, and it had been for a long time, but I felt like we could turn it around, and it was, to be fair, a big risk, but
we had a lot on our plate, and I was happy to take over Archie. I just wanted to drop something else.
Yeah, and you were
pregnant.
I was
heavily pregnant.
Heavily pregnant. There was a lot of stress. It was a lot of money. Just in general, a lot of things that made it hard, but YOLO. We just went for it anyway.
Speaking of me being heavily pregnant, we took over Archie. Another quick question is, any more kids planned?
No. I've had a vasectomy. I'm not having any more kids. If she has another kid, somebody's going to die. It'll be, well, 2 people will die, her and whoever helped.
Plans after USA?
Plans after USA are, man, we got a busy year already. Like we said, for 2020, we've obviously got the USA trip. We have our Drift Challenge Australia National Round and Super National Round, which we're running now as well. Then obviously all of the Archie events. We have a trip to the Cape planned for, was it May or June school holidays? June, July school holidays. I'm finally doing the trip to the Cape, which I'm extremely excited about. Australians know what we're talking about, but the trip to the Cape, it's like a pilgrimage for Australians, especially if you're into four-wheel driving. And yeah, we're going to try and sneak in some Japan and probably USA again at some point, because now we have a car in the States. And yeah, plenty of stuff.
And eat me some Lawson breakfast.
Yes.
What will you replace the V35 with? A lot?
Nothing at this stage. If the right 34 came along, I would be tempted to grab it, but at this stage we're more so looking probably to get something in Japan in the near future, because our C34 Laurel that's over there currently doesn't meet the power vehicle regs. But yeah, so kind of looking for something in Japan maybe, but we'll see how we go. Merch. Honestly, guys, it really just comes down to designs. I don't want to bring out a shitty product and a shitty design that's just a font for you guys. I want to try and do something that's cool, so that is just taking time trying to work with designers to get something that I personally like and I would personally wear, before I go and try and sell it to you guys.
You just wear what you're given.
Yes.
Why you started DCA and how has it not failed like other comps before?
We started DCA because Drift Australia, was it? No, it wasn't Drift Australia, it was ADGP. So I was a big part of ADGP when it was first done, and it was really going the right way, but then they went hella corporate. It was more about the money in the end, and the guy that was running it was a total dick. But the main guy that was running it behind the scenes was an absolute dickhead, and basically at an event tried to fine a driver that I was actually there mentoring because Tiana said something about the judging. And it was literally that night we went home and registered the name Drift Challenge Australia and started Drift Challenge Australia. And the idea was just something...
heavily pregnant.
Again, while you were heavily pregnant, decided to start a business. But it... Australia, in my opinion, Australia needed Drift Challenge Australia. It's the whole business idea was to have something that was completely sustainable without sponsors and be able to reward the drivers and be affordable for drivers as well. So it was really about sustainability on a business level without support from sponsors, and also sustainable on a drifter's level where you're not needing to go nuts with cars and things like that. But this year we've obviously introduced the Super Pro where guys can build nuts cars, but our core is still the regular Pro Series, which has a tyre restriction, and that was the main goal, and to treat drivers right, because there was just a lot of piss take going on with the other national series. And I think, at the end of the day, the reason I think a lot of these drift series have fallen by the wayside over the years is they're not run by drifters. Like, drifting is not their main goal, you know what I mean? Like, they're not doing it for the love of drifting, you know what I mean? They're event promoters and they're trying to make money. And treating the drivers like circus monkeys or whatever, to me, doesn't make any sense, you know what I mean? Without drifters, you don't have a show, so the drifters, in my opinion, should be treated right, and that's what we try and do with the Drift Challenge Australia guys, make it as fair as possible and really make it, really make it good, I guess.
Why did you stop drifting in high-level comps?
I didn't.
No.
I didn't really.
Explain why you do comps when you do them.
So, essentially, part of the reason I stopped doing a lot of international high-level comps is because we have 2 businesses, 2 children, and it is unfair. It's unfair. I love my kids. I don't want to be away from my kids. I don't mind being around her either. She's good to be around some of them, maybe a bit of the time. And yeah, it's just hard when you have a wife, kid, and businesses here in Australia. It's hard to go off and do international comps. So that side of it slowed down international comps. But with that said, I only do international comps or events that I'm interested in. So for instance, IDC, when I went and did IDC, I was definitely keen to do it. But then all the other times since then I was invited to do IDC, I wasn't that keen because it's going back to Ireland where it's cold and shitty and you never really got that much track time at the events. So, you know, there wasn't that desire for me to go back and, you know, I have nothing to prove. It was more, I like to go somewhere for fun. Sorry, I like to go somewhere for fun. And yeah, I guess that's where doing the King of Nations stuff was really good because I got to go and check out a lot of new countries, new places, and completely new tracks and meet new people, which I really enjoyed, like driving in Greece and Malaysia and things like that was super cool because completely new places, completely new everything, and that is the side of it I enjoy. But yeah, I guess, when was the last like pro comp was Wild Time Attack last year. So yeah, and I got second just behind Nakamura. So, you know, it's not like I'm not there anymore. It's just that there hasn't been things that I'm interested in. In Australia, I run the events and I personally don't think it's right for me to enter my own events. I don't think it's the right thing to do. That's why I don't enter my own events. And I'm not really interested in entering the high-tech events. And there hasn't really been a lot going on. I would have liked to go down to the Keep It Reet day that was on, the Keep It Reet event that was on recently, but it was just, I'm just too busy. I was too busy to go down. So yeah, we'll see what happens in 2020.
If budget wasn't a thing, what car would you own or build?
My S13 convertible, which I'm building, which has a budget, but I try and push the budget all the time. And this is my budget. I'm pushing it.
It doesn't have a budget. I just don't want him putting more money into it.
Yeah, but my S13 convertible I really like. It's just cool. No one really does it, especially a genuine JDM convertible. There was only, you know, a small amount made. There was plenty of US ones made, whatever, but yeah, I think it's just cool having something different.
What was your time like in Germany? What was your time in Germany like? For example, hanging out with Kevin and Renee. Good dudes. Yeah, definitely had a blast in Germany and I would love to go back. I'd really love to go back. I had such a good time with the German guys. This is one for me. Well, for you, but for me. How much does your missus really love Blink? I have a Travis Barker sleeve and a portrait of him on my back, and I don't know if you guys knew that I spent a month in America over June and July. I flew there literally to go to Warped Tour to see Blink play. Because I will never see them as a whole in Australia because Travis doesn't fly. So I really like them a lot. I listen to them every single day, at least one album. Anyway, that's enough about Blink 182. That pisses Luke off a lot. I love Blink 182, and it's just I've heard it a lot. You complain about music every day. How long are you in America for, and will you drive Adam's S15? We're going to be in America for 7 weeks, and if Adam lets me drive his S15, and if my ass will fit in his seat, that's probably the more bigger question. If I can make my ass fit in his seat, I'll definitely send the shit out of that car and show him how it's meant to be driven. I got Tyler's allowed to drive it on the street. That was before we were coming to America, so his mind's probably changed by now. Yeah. Tell the folks at home about the back of Tulla Airport. Arundel Road. If you know about it, you know about it. That's all I have to say. That's not... Telling them about it. For the people that know about it, that's all they need to know. Yeah, but they're asking for other people. Oh. What was it like when you were really young? Were you interested in cars at a young age? Yes, I was interested in cars. My dad was an
interstate truck driver. I was always interested in cars, but BMX really like took heed, and basically my whole life was BMX until I was like 22 when I finally got my license. And then I started being more interested in cars, where my first car, like I said, was a VL wagon, and the reason I had a wagon was I can put more bikes in it and my friends and go on road trips. So yeah, it wasn't until I was like 22 where I actually got like properly interested in cars.
This is from Brent Ashenden. When can I start bringing my coffee van to events and practice nights?
We'd have to talk about how much free coffee I get.
Hit up the Archie page. What are your plans for drifting in Melbourne next year, like Matsuri or a Keep It Reet night? Ooh.
I would love to come down for some stuff. I'm probably going to end up putting a roll cage in the 350Z at some point, just because I drive it like an absolute idiot, and coming home to see my wife and kids is good. So yeah, being that I do like to do a lot of really, really stupid shit in that car, it's probably a good idea to put a roll cage in it. And when I do that, I'll be able to start taking that to more of the interstate events where roll cages are required.
What are all the cars you own? It'll be quicker now.
What are all the cars I own? Well, I just sold some, so that helps. That'll make this list easier. But I own, I'll go me first.
We have some cars that aren't ours. They're mine and his.
Yeah, we have mine and his and hers. I have a C34 Laurel in Japan.
We have a C34
Oh, that's a we,
Laurel.
is it?
That's a we.
That's a we. Okay, we have a C34 Laurel in Japan. We have a G35 in the States. Or do I?
Well, it depends. If it's a drift car or a daily. Drift car, it's yours. Daily, it's ours.
It's both.
So it's ours.
It's a car we're going to drive around the States and drift.
Yeah.
So it's ours. Is that an ours?
Okay, it's ours.
Okay, so we have the G35 sedan. We have my 350Z. We have my S13 convertible with the Turbo LS. We have my 8.6 in the shed that's getting the beams put in it. And I have my Raptor.
Our Raptor.
My Raptor.
Our Raptor.
And I have my JZX 110.
Yeah, you can have that. I don't want it.
And I have the JZX 110. And that's...
You have an 8.6 shell?
I have an 8.6 shell that will get turned into something at some point. That's all I have. Now, what do you have?
Not a lot anymore. I have my S13.4 drift car.
Yep.
Sick car. I have my immaculate two-tone S13 with brown interior, which is a secret. Hidden gem. Well, it's not secret, but a lot of people don't know about it. I have...
It's an 88 model S13 Sylvia, like OG, and very, very good condition, and yeah, we've just stored it away.
I have a 11 notchback in Japan, which I'll be bringing over next year because we sold my Torino notchback. I think that's it.
We've really cut down. It's pretty
Yeah.
good, huh?
We're missing something.
Well, we don't even have a car in Tassie anymore.
No.
No, we've cut down a lot. We've got less than 10 now.
I don't believe it.
I think we've got less than 10 cars now, which is pretty crazy. Because we did just sell 3 cars. 3? We just sold?
2 V35s.
And your 8.6.
And my 8.6, yeah.
Yeah. So we're at less than 10 or 10? I don't know. Either way, that's all our cars we have currently.
Any plans for a shed or someplace to work on / store all the cars?
I would love that. That would actually be sick. But it would probably just be a matter of getting some friends involved and going in and sharing the cost of rent and things like that. Because that would be great to have a workshop of our own where we had a hoist and lighting and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's something I'd love to do, but it'd just be a matter of having the right friends there involved and sort of making it happen.
Do I have to read that?
Yep.
Do I have to read all of it?
Okay, I'm going to read this question. So this one I think is quite an interesting one because it sort of now that you guys know a little bit more, my answer will make a little bit more sense. But it's a serious question. His name is Pro Fukura. I don't know. Anyway, how do you reconcile advocating for legal drifting and public recognition of the sport, i.e. you provide a fantastic location, opportunities for legal street drifting, that's awesome, and then appear to be supporting the kind of drive ignorant street drifting, Mexican hoon cartel, etc., which both destroys the public perception of the sport, has indeed killed innocent bystanders and other drivers. For starters, that's never happened. I don't know of anybody in the world that's ever been killed by actual drifting. So that's rubbish. Whether it be street or not, anyone doing any actual proper drifting, like going to a drift meet and drifting, I don't know of anyone being killed by it at all. There's a big difference between someone actually going drifting and people just being fuckwits. So I think that needs to be separated to start with. And then again, you guys have to understand that when I started drifting, there was nothing. There wasn't track days, so you really only had the choice of the street. And that's just how it was. And there's still part of me that lives, that does like it, but there's a time and a place, and if you are going to do it, then make sure you're nowhere near anyone or anybody, and be smart about it, I guess, if you're going to. But that would be my answer to that. I can't sit here and be like, never street drift and blah blah blah, it's how I got started, you know what I mean? I wouldn't recommend it now. There's no excuse. You can go to the track for no money, which is crazy. If I could have gone to the track for $60 back in the day, 100% that's what I would have done, you know what I mean? It would have saved my license. I nearly went to jail for losing my license and all that sort of stuff. So, I guess, that's my sort of roundabout answer for that is, I don't hate on street drifting by any means. I have been known to enjoy it, and it's just part of drifting, I think, and I don't think it really destroys the public perception of the sport or anything like that, because look at drag racing. Drag racing's a legitimized sport, and people drag race off every fucking set of lights. Young, old, doesn't matter. People are racing their cars off sets of lights, and that does cause deaths in the actual racing and on the street, and in every aspect it causes death. And it's still a very well backed and publicized sport. So, I think it would be unfair to sort of glamorize, or to say that it's destroying the sport. So
I think if the public wants street drifting to end full stop, then they need to stop building residential areas near tracks, or be like Perth and make people moving in the certain vicinity sign waivers stating that they can't complain about noise.
Yeah. That's the thing. If there's somewhere to go, you can go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's a big problem, and that's why there's hardly anywhere to drive in some places.
How much does it cost to run your own track? A lot. It definitely costs a lot, but we are lucky in the fact that we do have a lot of really cool customers. We have a lot of great drives that come down, and a lot of regular spectators, so it's definitely a manageable business.
Someone said, because there's a picture of me putting fuel in my 15. No, but it's funny. I'd rather the wifey taking photos of you filling up. I'll take that photo for you, and Luke will put it on his Facebook. When are you coming to New Zealand for a drift?
Hopefully sooner rather than later. I'm working with a few different people over in NZ on some up and coming projects. I, crazily enough, even with BMX, have never been to New Zealand. I've literally been absolutely all over the world, and I've been to so many countries, it's crazy, and I've never been to New Zealand. It's so bad. And like I said, even with BMX, so I'm hanging out to get to New Zealand. It better be in 2020.
In America, what cities are we going to, and doing anything in Vegas?
We're definitely going to be passing through Vegas. I actually reached out to Forrest Wang only a few hours ago, so we'll see if he writes back. But we've had Forrest Wang over here in Australia, and he has invited me multiple times over there to go wheeling with him and things like that. So if we have the time, we're definitely going to be stopping in Vegas and doing some stuff with Forrest.
What happened to the V10 E46 that you were testing overseas?
The V10 E46 I was actually competing in and did a majority of a season for King of Nations. The car was nothing but problems from the start. It was never really built right. I had as much help as I could from people I knew to make the car work from a footwork point of view. So I had Chelsea Denofa help out with suspension and lock kit and stuff like that to essentially make it the same as his FD car. And then obviously the owners of the car in the workshop took care of the engine side of it, and that's where it really got let down because it just broke down constantly. And yeah, and then the team was very, very average. They most of the time wouldn't even turn up till like 2 hours after practice had started and things like that. So yeah, it was a really stressful, frustrating year because it could have been amazing, but they just didn't really have the commitment to it. So yeah, I stopped driving for that team at the end of that year just because it, you know, even though everyone thinks it's great being given the keys to a car and stuff like that, and you know, people always assume it's your car and think that you can't build a car and things like that, and it really had nothing to do with me, that side of it. And I was sick of sitting on the sidelines while the car was broken all the time, so that was frustrating. And a lot of things were done very dodgy in the car that was compromising my safety as well, which was something I was concerned about.
Any plans to come to an event or two at Tailem Bend?
Yes, I definitely need to get out to Tailem Bend at some point, and when the stars align, I will be there for sure. I'm really, really keen to come and drive that track. Again, probably one of those things that once there's a roll cage in the 350Z, I'll be more inclined to head down there because, again, as much as I love my S13, it just kills tyres. It's not worth taking to places like that to do like a Matsuri, for instance. Good one.
Any chance you'll run the S13 in a competitive series?
No. Not really. I don't really have any interest. That car to me is more of a show pony car, I guess. I just want to have like the sickest car, be able to do 6 skids in it. Yes, do some tandem with the boys, but it's not a competition car where, yeah, I just don't want to go put it in that position where I want to do, where I would have to do dumb things and wreck it for no reason. Like, I really want it to be like a show car that I still can drift and thrash.
That's it.
Alright, well, thank you so much for watching, guys. That's my Q&A. We'll be back to you tomorrow with some other cool content, I guess. That's a little bit about my past and everything else. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in tomorrow's vlog. Bye.
See ya.